You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts,
Coach Mayor,
Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, Happy New Year once again. Welcome back to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
Seth.
And we have a guest who just blew our minds, telling us we have to change his moniker.
We don't change.
Coach Mayor Jared Lowe is here.
I am no longer a coach and I am no longer a mayor. So I what am I? Tell me what I am if I am not those things. I don't know.
Hearts just broke all across
You're the
Washington
mayor
County.
of Cocaine, Ohio. Coach of the Cocaine Bears.
So the girls aren't in any sports at the moment yet. Like you can't coach your gymnastics squad or anything.
Odin doesn't like a male.
They're out there blowing a whistle like, come on, roll over that back. Come on.
Yeah, that would be awesome. You could get the Mr. T mohawk
Like, who am I,
and the
Mr. T?
tracksuit.
Coaching a gymnastics team? No.
Yeah, just like the old cartoon from the 80s.
Not cool enough.
All right, so thank you for joining us for our next little chat. And we want to thank you out there for listening. I want to thank our pal Nathan Arnold for piping up and having some recommendations and suggestions for us. He's been listening to some of our old episodes, some of our new episodes. So we appreciate it. He was wanting us, he was bummed we hadn't finished talking about Hawkeye. So, sorry. That's a personal apology. But,
This is the first time we've been back since it aired.
The timing was off a little bit around the holidays. We didn't keep up on all the pop culture right around the holidays. So we talked about the first 5 episodes of Hawkeye. I had never talked about the finale, and then since then there's been a million other things. So we're gonna try to get to what we can tonight. We're gonna start focusing on everything hopping on Disney Plus at the moment since we're talking Hawkeye. So we'll wrap up our Hawk talk and then on to new stuff.
So anybody remember what happened?
I took more notes on this one because I knew it might be a while.
Thank God.
Good.
I had
Go for it. Let us know.
All right, so we had just learned the Kingpin was back. Jared, you've seen these, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was so long ago. Of course you saw. All right, so we saw. Okay, so going into this one, my thinking was there's only 1 hour left, and there's a whole lot of plot lines still to be resolved. How is the show going to wrap all this stuff up? And they did it by just throwing everybody all in the same building.
Yeah.
The plot all just happened. They put all the characters in the building and let it all work itself out, and it worked well enough for me. So we saw Eleanor, Kate's mom, met with Wilson Fisk, showing that they have a relationship, that she is into some level of villainy. We don't know how bad she is, but we know that she quote unquote handled Armand, and then Jack Duquesne took the fall, her fiance, and that she wants out of the crime life. She thinks she's paid her debt to the Kingpin and she wants out. But we know that's not usually how he works. After Clint and Kate had kind of a falling out, or they kind of split up, now they're back together. And he says, "You're my partner. Your mess is my mess." So they're back in it together. They have a montage of them making a new batch of trick arrows, and we're ready. We're ready for this finale. So that we've also got Maya, who Echo has got a lot. She
Unsettled.
Yeah, she had. We haven't got a whole lot of screen time from her as the main. I guess she was supposed to be the main antagonist, we thought, but I don't know, we didn't get a whole lot from her. But again, she tells Wilson Fisk that she's done. She's done with vengeance. She doesn't need, she doesn't she's getting, she wants out of the life as well, it seems like. And she says they tell each other they love each other, that he's been like a father figure to her, but he knows she's just saying that, and I think at this point he knows she's turned, and he doesn't have control over her anymore. So that's where all the main characters are as we start. So they have a big fancy party at this building. They've got all the LARPers there as waiters. Yelena shows up. Jack is out of jail, walking around with a sword on his hip.
Yeah, just blatantly gonna wear this pirate sword.
Yeah, so then that's just how it all happens. Kaz, the head tracksuit guy, is there as a sniper rifle. And he has to fight Clint. Yelena shows up, and Kate has to try to stop her, and they have a great scene in the elevator. That was probably the highlight for a lot of people. They're sort of back and forth.
Yeah. As far as, just the series as a whole, I kind of felt like as soon as Kingpin showed up, a lot of attention was kind of like, my attention was onto him. Because then I was like wondering, is this supposed to be the same guy? Is it supposed to be some other multiverse Kingpin version guy? Because he was, he had that like Hawaiian shirt on with the white. He was dressed a lot differently than we'd seen in Daredevil, where he was very on top of style, and he had just
casual. That's Christmas Kingpin.
Yeah.
Christmas Kingpin. Yeah. But as soon as he showed up, yeah, you're right. The all the Echo stuff was just kind of in the background for me.
We're going to get more with her. We know she's going to have her own show, but yeah, it felt like, I don't know. It felt like a lot of character stuff happened pretty quickly and just sort of move on.
That was fine with me though. I saw somebody else complaining about that, and I was like, she's gonna have her own show. They can focus on that then.
Yeah,
I want to have as much fun stuff, because the stuff with her was not fun. I'm sorry. I wanted the Kate, Yelena, Clint stuff. That was the good stuff.
Yeah, clearly.
Which, by the way, I love the fact that, I mean, maybe I'm slow, but I love the fact that they have taken what they set up over the last decade, ever since back at the beginning, one of the great relationships in the MCU is Black Widow and Hawkeye. And now this comes full circle, and they've laid the groundwork for this great relationship between a new Black Widow and a new Hawkeye. It's like that will take us into the years to come, with and now they have an origin story of their own,
right.
Their own Budapest. They'll say, "Oh, remember what happened to Christmas and
Rockefeller Center?"
Yeah. It feels like it took till now till we fully got that from Clint and Natasha. Like, her own movie didn't really humanize her the way this even did. So the scene later here between Clint and Yelena did a lot of heavy lifting that the Avengers movies or Black Widow movie.
I just love the reflections of that. Like, they still are using that. I mean, that's always been a comic book thing too, is their relationship. And it's two different people now, but still to have them, those legacy characters type, those names.
So we had truckfuls of tracksuit mafia attack the building, and they got red tracksuits and green tracksuits. We had festive outfits for the big fight. They swarm all over Rockefeller Center and have a big skating rink fight. Had the good, the duo fight, different arrows. We had trick arrows. We had the Pym arrow makes another appearance.
Loving all the trick arrows. That was always Hawkeye's thing, man. I love that.
And again, Jack Duquesne gets in just on guard, like he's
just standing at the door, just slicing people up, and like nobody says anything.
And that's so, like, there's something that's so different. Obviously the swordsman is nothing like that. It's like they just take that character, make him a swordsman, like, their new version of a swordsman, and he's just this fun, silly, character that is, this is the perfect show for that type of character, just a comic relief.
They announced the Swordsman solo series yet? Because I would totally watch that.
Yeah.
He was so just goofy and weird and funny.
And he'll make you some tea or something.
Yeah.
I wants to make sure everybody's comfortable.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good fight scene. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny when he got stuck in the Christmas tree, and was just like, "Leave me in here. Do not get me out of this tree. Do not do whatever you're gonna do." So, but
and another way, you always get, we got a god and a tech billionaire and a guy with a bow and arrow. It's like the showing that what Clint can do with a bow and arrow, that
right.
he can hold his own, in any sort of fight. So Maya confronted Kazi, that they had a long history together, and she says she wants them both to get out of there, and he's never going to do it, so she has to kill him. So again, more tragedy for her backstory that I'm sure we'll eventually get to. And we had Kate, big fight with the Kingpin inside FAO Schwartz. Pretty brutal moment. He snaps all her arrows, so she's not going to win physically, and he kind of takes her tricks away. So what's left? She does the bottle cap trick, flicking the cuff link.
You knew that had to come back at some point. I will say, like, you work yourself in this show. You work yourself up battles and levels of toy stores. You have to fight the low level thugs and the KB toys.
Right.
I could have used a mid level fight in a Toys R Us before we go all the way to FAO.
Yeah.
So then Maya shows up at the end and shoots the Kingpin, who we know can't be dead, but we didn't see a dead body. So
now, isn't that from the comics?
Yeah, she eventually betrays him or learns that he wasn't telling the truth and goes out on her own.
And I mean, I believe the way it went, like, she shoots him, and he. So I'm getting the assumption they are doing like the comics, where he's not dead. And I mean,
yeah,
I believe it went down like he lost his sight from that shot. That's what happened in the comics. So, like, now, which I really feel like is what's going to happen. Obviously, he's not going to be dead. So when he comes back in her series, he'll probably be blind like he was in the comics, which sure fits in with Daredevil stuff.
Yeah,
that could be fun. All right, so as all this is going on, Yelena confronts Clint Barton. She doesn't believe, he's tried to explain what happened to Natasha, and she doesn't believe him. He does the secret whistle showing, how much Natasha had talked about Yelena, and like that he did know her on this intimate level is finally what sort of stops her from her bloodlust. And they kind of finally bond over, they both had, she was such a big part of both their lives. And I thought it was super powerful. She says, why did she sacrifice herself for you? Why do you deserve it? And he says, I don't. So she says, you should have fought harder. And it's like, that's what he's been thinking since Endgame. Like,
right. Thanks.
She's saying everything he's already,
right.
beat himself up for. So yeah, it's not that they both agree, I'm sure.
Yeah. They agree.
Yeah.
You suck. I suck. I know.
So, and then at the very end, we get the after credit scene, right?
Well, they got to get home for Christmas. That was the main.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Anybody have anything to say here?
Nope.
Nobody. Nothing. If anybody had listened to maybe the first or second episode where we were recapping, and I was like, I know how this ends.
Mm-hmm.
He makes it home for Christmas. he doesn't make it home for Christmas, she died for nothing, because that was the whole point. She sacrificed herself so that Clint could be with his family. And so and it's a Christmas show. He has to make it home for Christmas and be there with his family. And guess what? It happened. And he brought her with him.
Yeah.
I think I also called right as soon as we had any clue that she was Mockingbird.
Yeah. They pass. He gives her the watch back. His wife, Cardellini, the watch back, and it's got the Shield logo with the 19 engraved on the back. So
yeah.
He says, "Take better care of your stuff." So yeah, that the watch that's been the plot point since episode 1. That, you know, if that got out, it would reveal her past as an agent. And, this makes her a more interesting character for sure. She's not just a housewife; she has a whole past history as well.
Yeah,
she's not wife on the phone like so many people have to play and stuff. She was there with the info. Boom, right. She was in that stuff.
And since then, I've seen so many people play the clip from the original Age of Ultron. So many people have played that when they discovered that he's married and has a family, and he takes all the Avengers to the farm. And Tony, you know, as soon as he sees the wife, Linda Cardellini, there, that he says, "Oh, she's this agent of some sort." And so everybody's pointed that out, which I'm sure was just a throwaway line at the time, but
they got to Feige it up and fix everything.
Yep.
I love it.
Marvel doesn't do throwaway lines. What are you talking about?
No, come on.
So yeah, he takes Kate home for Christmas, fully proving that she's part of the family, because, you know, her family, she doesn't know who her mom is anymore, so she's home with the Bartons, and he tells her that Kate makes Clint better in every way and that he's proud of her, which I'm sure is all she's been wanting to hear. And they burn the Ronin suit, so that chapter is over. The chapter of vengeance and violence that he
minority killing
and killing non-whites,
which is his favorite pastime for Ronin, is to go find all the minorities. Kill.
And so she's trying to figure out a new code name. Should she be Lady Hawk, Hawk Eve, Hawk Shot, Lady Arrow? Nope, she's just going to be Hawkeye. Boom, roll credits. And then what Cliff has been waiting for this whole time.
The real
Happy
Christmas
Holidays. Said Happy Holidays from Marvel, and we got the whole scene from Rogers the Musical. The whole musical number.
I almost impulse bought you a pair of Rogers the Musical socks.
Oh man, that would have been sweet. Cracked me up though, because I mean they had it in the show, but then I found myself I wanted to see the whole thing so bad, like just show it to me, and then finally in the credits we got the whole song, the whole production of that that they filmed for Rogers the Musical, the fake musical. And,
because they had to write it and choreograph it, and like they had to do it, so they might as well show it.
Well, exactly. I mean, all that work for those guys, but then I saw a couple weeks later, it ruined me a little bit because I saw somebody making a point of like, you know what the only thing that probably would have topped that is if at the end of that song, if they had panned over back into that crowd, and we could have saw, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier sitting there just kind of smirking through the whole thing. I was like, yeah, that would have been pretty good too. But I loved it. I thought it was great. Give me more of that. So
yeah,
just music, Marvel musicals from here on out. Everything's a musical.
End of time. So what's your prediction is next from this property? Like, it was I would consider it a hit. You know, it got positive reaction. You know, I would think they're going to do something else with that.
Oh yeah. I mean, do you mean with? Do you think they're going to do more Hawkeye, or is this just going to? I don't know if they'll do another season of the series picking it up with her, or if it really, as much of these Marvel shows on Disney Plus have been, really it's just a building to that Young Avengers.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, everything is really kind of all these shows. If you think about it, Falcon and Winter Soldier, we had,
Patriot.
Yeah, the Patriot. Loki, we had Kid Loki in it.
I mean, we're waiting on that to happen.
Yeah.
I was just curious, like,
I think they'll
if we get
continue-
another if we get another season that's specific to
Hawkeye,
I would think it's her. Yeah, but I think if it's a Hawkeye show, I would think it's gonna. They might even do like her going to the West Coast, like they did in the book. Do something like that. Involve her mom more. Maybe they could even. I don't know what they. I don't know, but I could see them maybe not him, but leaning into her having her own series. Who knows? They haven't really doubled up on anything yet, but they are going to have a Loki season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious which of these seasons, which of these. I mean, WandaVision was a huge hit, but I don't see them doing that again. Like, I'm just curious. I would think that they would. It would be so tempting to do season 2s of some of these shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Where do you guys kind of rank this with the? I think this was my favorite of all of them.
Yeah, we kind of privately sent ourselves. I started it off. I don't even remember what my rankings were. I think this was at the top. I had this above Loki of the Disney Plus. I think I went Hawkeye, WandaVision, Winter Soldier, then what was the other? Loki.
Yeah,
this was my favorite. I think and Jordan maybe alluded to it earlier. Yeah, the way they kind of wrapped it up with Elena. I mean, like that made it retroactively made the Black Widow movie better. Like kind of having this kind of tag to it and ending to it, which I think kind of helped that movie.
Frozen.
Waits a half hour to talk. Oh, there you go.
I love what I was saying. If I froze there.
Yeah, you froze there, man.
You froze.
We got you. I think this was probably the most fun. I think I personally still preferred WandaVision barely over this, but I think they were both great.
Yeah.
Falcon third, Loki fourth.
Yeah. I don't remember how I ranked them, but I liked them all.
Keep watching them. Be good. So we did it. They did it. We did it. What else you got? This is the Disney show, right?
Yep, this is the Disney show. We're right into December the 29th, premiered the Book of Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. I want to meet Boba Fett. He is kind of Boba Fett. Actually, I think you're saying it right. He is Boba Fett. Like, maybe that kind of makes me feel better about him not being what I was expecting. So.
Yeah.
But this one hasn't quite had the... Mandalorian came out and it was instant. Like we said, there's not been a Star Wars property that everyone loved.
Yeah.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
It is
since
not...
the original trilogy.
I'll say right off the bat, it is not the Mandalorian.
So
the Mandalorian...
The fan reaction is not what Mandalorian does.
I would say I'm with a lot of the fans as far like I love the Mandalorian. Like when a new episode comes out, I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to hear that theme song. I love that but I'm a huge Boba Fett fan, and the only problem, I mean, a lot of people are complaining about this show. The problem is
Slave One have the Confederate flag on it.
Yeah.
That's problematic.
Yeah. The problem with this is what everybody wants Boba Fett to do, they did with the Mandalorian. So they have to do something different. And we lost Jared. Yeah, but I don't know what I don't know. It's just they can't do the same thing, and so
Yeah.
We're stuck with this different story that is not exactly exciting.
Yeah, to me, it's doing the familiar stuff, the reference. Oh, there's an alien I recognize. There's a character reference. There's a name. It's doing all that stuff we love about the Mandalorian, but it just doesn't have the depth to it that one does, or the excitement or something. So it has all the fun Star Warsiness of the Mandalorian, but it just doesn't have the storytelling.
Now, I will say this series this was my initial impression of it. The series is very Robert Rodriguez. Without a doubt, everything on the surface is Robert Rodriguez. He used to be good, and when he did some Mandalorian, he really came all out and came hard, and the action was great, and everything was great that he did. And now he's all like, I'm going to be playing the extra characters, and it's too much Robert Rodriguez. He's not doing a good job. Well, see, I've thought about this, and I've listened to some different opinions on it, because there's apparently a huge party that they're like, no, this is not my Boba Fett. He has to be, he shouldn't take the helmet off. He has to be badass, not speak much, all this stuff. But okay, that's fine.
I've heard that too, and that is an argument people have. It's not the Boba Fett that they grew up with. It's not. No. By the way, it's not.
No.
It's not. But and what they want is what is happening with the Mandalorian to be Boba Fett. But they're doing something different, and I don't even care about that. It's the fact that it's not interesting. I don't care what they do with the character.
Yeah.
If it would be interesting, it's not that exciting.
3 episodes in. Real quick, let's go over the episodes. Episode 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. This is the starts with the guys. We got to call it the flashback, because every flashback is he's in the back to tank.
Yeah, here's what it is. Yeah, every time I go get in a bathtub, I go back to remembering my life.
Yeah, you put that mouthpiece
and when I get out, I stop. When I get back in, I chronologically pick up where I left off.
Right. Exactly. That happens to
as
everybody.
Everyone does. Yeah.
Yes. But it starts out right where everybody wanted it to start out. Sarlacc
It's
pit.
the Patton Oswalt speech from Parks and Rec.
It's exactly the Patton Oswalt.
He bursts up out.
Hand down from the twin moons of Tatooine.
Right. And immediately everybody in the world recognized that, and they put the video up with it, and was like, okay, this is pretty funny, but I was okay with it. We couldn't spend the entire show in the Sarlacc pit. We had to get out of there. We've already known he's back in the Mandalorian, so it's just.
And I saw people arguing, the expanded universe did more with that story, and the Sarlacc had psychic connections with the people it devoured. Like, it had a whole backstory that people were annoyed got left out. It's like,
I don't care about any of that. I don't care about any of that. I'm not precious about anything like that. I just want it to be entertaining.
So he flashback to he gets out of the Sarlacc, burns his way. The stormtrooper is in there. We don't know why. Where'd the stormtrooper come from? Whatever. So he gets out of the Sarlacc
they are
pit.
known for being very clumsy. So
that's true.
They fell a lot of miles to get out there in that Sarlacc pit. I got news for you. I think they're regretting that freaking stormtrooper being in there, because they have no explanation for why the hell.
We'll get an animated series tracing that guy's entire history.
And then after that, we see the Jawas find him. They take his armor, which, I was like, geez, these Jawas are jerks. But they leave him when they clearly in the Mandalorian they didn't do that with Cobb Vanth. So when they found him, they took him in. So I guess these were different Jawas. And then
not all Jawas, Cliff. Not all Jawas.
Yeah, come on. They're not a monolith.
And then after that,
very fine people.
Very fine people. Fett's found by the Tusken Raiders, and they drag him behind a bantha through the forever.
I was like, there's only so many minutes in the show, but let's drag him behind a bantha forever.
He wakes up from the flashback tells Finnick the dreams are back. We already know this. Then he gets armored up. So the first time we get to see him putting on the armor. And then we get to that torture droid 8D8, which I got a figure of sitting right up here. From Return of the Jedi, which he was voiced by Matt Berry. The torture droid is. Then they get the guests in there to pay their respects to Boba Fett, and we get the delegate, the Aqualish delegate, which gives him a bunch of credits, a bunch of money. Then Robert Rodriguez comes in as the Trandoshan, and he gives him the Wookiee pelt or the Wookiee skin. And then after that, he makes a remark and says, "May you never leave Mos Espa," whatever that means. And then after the tributes, we get the pigmen, the Gamorrean guards come in, and then they, in
a little bit better shape than their ancestors. Like
definitely
keeping a little bit better care of themselves.
Definitely. Fewer clothes too. So he gets his Gamorreans, and then I think after that we get that that's when they go to the bar, and we get Jennifer Beals playing a Twi'lek and the Sanctuary, and then we get to see Max Rebo and one of the Model nodes there, and they're like new. Like, I don't know how he survived, but he survived the sail barge explosion. But so we get a little droid
and learned a new song.
Yeah, we get a droid playing drums now in his band. It's like Max Rebo's super group. And then we see one of the Captain Rex droids from Star Tours in there dealing cards. He meets with the mayor or the
Major Domo.
Yeah, Major Domo.
Maybe instead of Coach Mayor, you could be Coach Daimao. You could be the crime lord of Lower Sea.
Yeah.
Pay me tribute. Come to the community hall and pay me tribute.
Next time,
droid.
Yeah, next time when we have Jared on the show and we see one of those Wookiee skins in the back hanging, we'll know.
Yeah. Is that a Wookiee skin hanging back there? That metal?
Yeah. So
I want this Wookiee skin playing trivia.
It was a rough game.
So then, after they come out of the sanctuary, they get ambushed.
In the worst fight, like it was that fight sucked. It was so
slow motion.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody had a mask on though.
Tamura Morrison's got to be in the 60s, I'm sure.
60,
so I don't
62, I think.
I mean, I don't expect backflips and craziness, but it felt awkward and clunky.
Yeah. So we get those guys, which instantly, for me, I thought two things: parkour, the episode of The Office, and the other thing it reminded me of was the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular show at Hollywood Studios. It was way too. If you would have taken, I think in the stunt show, I think the bad guys wear a cover on their face too. So put them together, I would not have been able to really tell the difference in that chase scene. And then they get the assist from the Gamorreans in that fight. They chase Finnick chases the two guys through the rooftops, and then captures one, kills the other. And then that was pretty much it, I think. Yeah, that was episode 1. So nothing real exciting, just an introduction, more or less, getting our team together.
Well, he also, we had him, being with the Tusken Raiders and being tied to the thing. And the young one, and then there's like the animal, whatever creature that was, and they do the whole. All I could think was those books like Save the Cat or where it's like movie cheats. It's like if you want to make your character likable, have them be nice to the animal or whatever. So he like knocks the animal out, but he pets it. And stuff. I'm like, oh, of course we got to make Boba Fett the nice sweetie pie.
Yeah, I know he's a villain. You know, you root for him because he's cool. But yeah, okay, you have to make. You have to give him motivation. Like I don't know what he wants to be a crime boss. Since when? He's a bounty hunter. Like, did his time in the Sarlacc change him, or we're learning more about his time with the Tuscans? Maybe
well, I mean, I think these flashbacks we are going to see how involved he gets in this town.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, there's only so far I'm interested in him because he's cool and I like him.
Yeah.
Okay, that gets me so far. Like the show's got to do something to get me the rest of the way. Because just watching it because I like the character, I think he's cool.
Yeah, these first episodes are very, very light on, for the most part, they're very light on the crime lord stuff. At least, especially the first two, and so heavy on the Sand People stuff. That
all right, racist. They're called Tusken Raiders.
But I mean, other than that, I'm cool with it. Like, that was neat to see because, like, I don't think it's going into the Sarlacc pit that changed him. I think it was the stuff afterwards, definitely. All the Tusken stuff, being dragged through the desert, and everything we see in the next two episodes, really, it's meant to show he's a different Boba Fett than what we knew.
Well, the thing, that's, I think, what people are so jarred by is, like, we've spent 30, 40 years with him. He's a different thing. And now they're like, well, he was barely a person yet. Now he is like becoming who he is. And it's not at all who he was before.
Because we didn't, if you're not familiar with the comics or books, you're just going on Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, we don't really see much of him.
And the Christmas special.
Which we'll get there.
And they bring in some of the prequel stuff, him seeing his dad be murdered, and
So it's definitely, to me, it's definitely him showing that he is not the same guy because of the Tusken stuff and becoming one with them. So episode 2, real quick, opens with Fennec. They've got that ninja assassin guy back at Jabba's place. AD8's there who's kind of arguing back and forth with Boba Fett and Fennec, and then he wants. I think this is when he says he won't talk, and they discover the droid says he's an assassin with the Night Wind, who apparently are very famous. I thought this was going to go towards like Crimson Dawn just because of the colors and stuff, but it didn't. And then
a lot of season left. There's still even after 3 episodes, like, what are they doing? Is it going to be Crimson Dawn or what's it going to be? I feel like everybody's waiting on it to be revealed, like who the ultimate problems are. Mm-hmm. They keep talking about the Pikes.
Yeah. See, to me, they've done so much with the Pikes, putting them in. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure. At first, I was like, it was going to be Crimson Dawn, and then I kind of thought, well, it's really looking like the Pikes are going to be the bad guys.
And you know what? Honestly, the whole time I'm thinking is boring. Like this, I don't even care who it is. I'm bored by this. I'm bored. It isn't so freaking boring.
I really haven't been bored with it. I mean, I recognize that it's definitely different than I thought it was going to be. But I've yet to be bored. There's been enough happening to, like. Tell us
what else happened.
Okay.
That's exciting.
Cliff's got a lizard up his nose.
Yeah, maybe. We get the assassin, the Night Wind, and then they trick him by dropping him into the Rancor pit after he won't talk, and he doesn't realize there's not a Rancor there. They've tricked him, and then he says the mayor sent him. So they go to see the mayor. And then this is when we get that really weird clerk guy who was totally out of place in the Star Wars movie. We get the major domo for the mayor. They burst into his chambers, and then we see the hammerhead mayor, and he says it wasn't him. They killed the assassin guy immediately, so he can't talk or say anymore. And then what happens then? No, I was reading. Boba tells him tells the mayor that he's no longer a bounty hunter. Before they leave, the mayor asks who really sent the Night Wind, like it's some big, huge mystery. And then we get the twins. We hear them coming. They're on their what do they call that? A leader?
Pallet or something? Yeah, I don't know. There's a couple huts. We weren't expecting that. These 2 huts on a platter, and they're like, I don't know whether they might be like they're twins, but they might like each other. I don't know what's going on.
We don't know what's up with that.
Don't judge the huts.
They are new characters. They are new huts. So just for this show,
basically, they're just like, we're huts. We're the ones that are supposed to be in charge. And
they want to lay claim to Jabba's stuff. So
who even wants this town that everything looks exactly the same?
That's the other thing. It's like they're battling over this backwoods, crappy town on a backwoods.
There's no water.
Yeah.
Too many suns to have water.
Yeah, clearly that I've seen that point being made of like, it's Tatooine. It's supposed to be, some outer rim, do nothing. There is nothing here planet. But anyways, it seems very busy in this show. And then is this where we get... this is where we first see the new Wookiee, Chrysanthemum. He was black.
That's one bad Wookiee.
Yeah, that's one bad Wookiee.
Cocaine Wookiee.
He comes from Darth Vader #1, right, Jordan?
Yeah, he was introduced in the comics. Was like a sidekick with that Dr. Aphra character.
Yeah.
That people are excited to introduce at some point into the live action.
Yeah, so he's an ex-gladiator that they trained to fight, and now he's a bounty hunter. And then we get another flashback and we see Boba training with the Tusken Raiders, with the stick, the gaffy stick, and that's when we get that where he says, "Show me," and then he starts moving the way they move and with the stick.
It's Dances with Wolves or whatever.
It was Dances with Wolves.
They're teaching him stuff. He's teaching them stuff.
Totally Dances with Wolves.
They're smoking peace pipe. They're blowing, instead of doing whatever. What's that drink or whatever they always
peyote.
Give? No.
Oh.
Blue milk.
I forget what it's called. It starts with an A, I think. But a drink that makes them, have hallucinations and stuff.
Ayahuasca?
Yes. Ayahuasca. But they're like, instead of that, they stick a worm up his nose or whatever to get the same vibe, and he's like having his hallucinations and stuff. Well, it's like they're literally doing that. They're like, this is, obviously they're equating, the Tusken Raiders are like a Native American to, a native to this area, and they're just telling like a Lawrence of Arabia story. I'm like,
yes,
you can rely too much on redoing these stories, and I'm like, okay. It's not, I don't care if you do it, but I'm not loving it.
Yeah, I feel like it didn't do enough new to need 3 episodes of it. Like,
right.
We get, he bonded with these people. Okay. And then we got more of it and more of it and more of it. Like, yeah, okay.
Every episode I get to the end and think, man, the art, this Mandalorian and the art at the end where they drew pictures before of what they were going to do, I can see where they were excited. The art is always amazing. I would hang any of those on my wall. just be like, this is amazing. It does look great. But the execution, first off, it's no color to anything. Everything is washed out in this Disney palette, and I hate it. I don't know. I need to stop talking because I sound more negative than I am. I watch it and I'm like,
I'm still enjoying the show.
But
we
there are
haven't even talked
valid,
about the third episode that freaking annoys me more than anything.
yeah, there are valid criticisms.
But again, for a character, but a lot of it is he became popular because of how cool he looks. And half of these episodes, he's in tattered long underwear.
Yes.
He's a pudgy bald guy in his 60s.
Yeah.
In like stained long underwear. It's like, now how cool can you be wearing your long underwear?
That's exactly it. It's like when we left off with them, he fell in that Sarlacc pit, cool guy, fell in there and comes out, old guy.
Yeah.
And that's not.
I mean, being half melted by stomach juice, I guess, it would hurt anybody.
Then
they absorbed some of it.
And I think that's part of it too, is then they use that as, okay, he was in the Sarlacc pit for however long, and then he gets drugged through the desert, and now he looks terrible. That's part of the actor's way older now. We have to make him, we have to give a reason why he looks this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, then eventually they give him the robes again. Straight out of Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah, dress him
he goes native, quote unquote.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, he sees the speeders. We get the part where he sees the speeders at night going across the dunes. And then he talks to the head chief or whatever, and says that he's going to stop the train. And then
they got to do a train thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's so, I mean, come on.
Well, I know.
They were trying to do these things like, we'll have a train robbery or whatever. It's like in Star Wars style. I'm like, that's so.
Well, it reminded me
101.
They did that thing in Solo too.
I know.
Yeah.
They already did it.
Yeah. So anyways, he goes to
and the scene versus the Jawa thing. Sandcrawler in the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's like they did it better in Solo. Why are you doing this boring everything?
Yeah, the train was cooler. The monorail train on Solo was cooler.
That was cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed the scene of like popping in and out, the little manholes and stuff. Like I thought the actual scene was all right, but again, it took a long time to get there, and then nothing really paid off after it.
Yeah, so in between then he goes to Tashi Station, and to get to fight the bikers, the Nitko, or is that what they were called? Nitko, I remember Kenner figures. Miner gang. Apparently they're miners, and I don't know why, but they are. And then so he goes to Tashi Station, and we see for the first time since the cutout part of A New Hope, we get Luke's friends, Fixer and Cammy, that were cut out of the original movies. They're portrayed in this as just people that are getting picked on by these bikers. Boba Fett enters.
I had no reference to that till I read it later, so it didn't add anything for me.
I've seen those scenes a bunch of times over the years, those cutout scenes, but with Biggs and all that.
Yeah, I never had either, but I think it's funny. It's like if they spend a little less time putting stuff in there that a lot of people don't know, and start putting some Ronto wraps or something in there.
Yeah. They should have been eating Ronto wraps. It would have been cool. So anyways, he goes in there. He's all badass. He beats up the bikers. He steals their speeder bikes, takes them back to the Tuskens, teaches the Tuskens how to ride like a bantha. That's how you got to do it.
It's like, weird. What am I watching?
That was so weird.
Old Boba Fett, like baddest man,
like a bantha. He just wants to ride stuff, guys. He rode the Mythosaur in the thing, and now he wants to ride the Rancor and the banthas and all that. So they stop the train, have that fight, rob the train, get it stopped. That little droid conductor thing runs off, and we find out it's the Pikes, and it's from the slave mine, the spice mines from Kessel. Another solo throwback there.
Yeah.
And then we figure out the Pikes are there, and they're the ones that they're running spice through the desert, and he tells them they have to pay a toll from here on out. So, anything after that in episode 2?
Let's get to 3 because 3 is the.
Well, 2, I thought it was important, especially at some point in Cliff's life. At the end, he makes his own stick. He got like the ceremony.
Yeah,
I was
just
like they made him. I said they made him
Galaxy's
exit through
Edge.
the gift shop. And you're gonna have to make your own stick at
you get your piece of tree.
You got to go pick a tree.
Exactly.
And they're going to charge you $800 for this.
Exactly.
100%. You're going to be able to make your own
greatest experience of your life.
Whatever. Yeah.
Episode 3.
And they're going to all the snack bars are going to have those little things to drink out.
What are those called? Black melons or something?
I only drink right from the teat.
You're purely blue or green milk.
Episode 3.
Streets of
the slowest chase ever happened.
It was slow.
All I could think of was I was trying to think. It bothered me for a while. I was like, "What is this remind me?" It's like I feel like I saw a GIF or something at one point where the old ladies race on scooters at a quarter of a mile an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this was.
That's the Seinfeld George Ryder.
Yeah,
that's
what it is. That's what it is.
I saw so many people compare this to like Power Rangers, but that was not what I'm too old for that. That is not what crossed. All I could think of were Vespas. Like,
well, that's what they were styled in like 50s cars. They had they had the biker gang or whatever, but they have 5 different colored Vespa looking speeder bikes, which with the stylings of like almost a 57 Chevy or something. And they're like very brightly colored differently,
shiny.
Which yes, they did that. And like, I mean, obviously George Lucas has always done this. This is like Attack the Clones. Anakin drives the yellow speeder, and it looks like Harrison Ford's hot rod from American Graffiti, but it doesn't look exactly like a car. Like these speeders look like the stylings of it was too on the nose.
It was.
Honestly, what it looked like is when you go to the fair and they have the things drive around a circle, and it's like a bunch of little motorcycles or whatever. That's what these were, and they went the same speed, like just like doo doo doo.
Yeah.
And they're chasing some guy in a hot rod down the streets of Mos Espa at like 1 mile an hour. Like Robert Rodriguez should hang it up. And then they
crashing into fruit stands.
The guy wrecks like Biff. In fact, it's an obvious Back to the Future reference.
Yeah, it was.
I just was like, that's when I messaged you. What am I watching?
I knew exactly what you were talking about.
So stupid.
Because I'd already watched it.
It was so poorly done.
It was not great.
It pissed me off is what it did. It was like, this is the Boba Fett show.
Yeah.
Watching a chase with nobody we gave a shit about. Who was even in that chase? Do you remember?
The mods.
Right.
We are the mods. We are the mods.
The mods. Yeah, it's this group of people you don't even know chasing a guy you don't care about at 1 mile an hour.
And it ends with the guy with the jetpack.
That's what
he could have just jetpacked the whole time.
That was the best part. After it's all over, Boba Fett just jetpacks down. And I was like, what were you doing?
I had time to walk back to my house, get my jetpack, and then come back.
All right, so in this bizarre episode, we get the Major Domo 8D8 has waited quite so long to tell his boss how Mos Espa is split between the various mob bosses. So now, episode 3, we're finally getting an explanation, basically, of what the hell how the crime world works there. So,
which didn't really make it more interesting.
Yeah, no.
Riveting.
It was at least
riveting.
Yeah. Then, what else happened?
The Wookiee.
Yeah,
a Wookiee wake up call.
Yeah, he's having another flashback to, I'm sure, in the tank. The Chrysanthemum pulls him up out of it, proceeds to beat the living life out of him, and which was I was cool with this scene. Like, I was like, holy crap, he's beating the hell out of Boba Fett, and the cracking sounds and all that, and I was like, is this surely this isn't, we're not going to spend the rest of the series in a wheelchair. But then we get the mods.
He could get one of those. He could get one of those bikes with motor.
The Vespas.
Yeah.
But the mods come in and with their droid parts on their bodies are able to fight him off long enough that they.
Yeah, he hired them. Like, it was Stephen Root.
Yeah, Stephen Root was.
He was charging too much for water or something, and he's like, "Well, I'll hire all you guys." And
they stole
you
water
charge the
from
right
Stephen
thing.
Root, who complained to Boba Fett, and then when he went to go, take him out, they were like, "Well, there's no work or whatever," and he said, "Well, come work for me." So now they're part of his
a little
gang.
political, a little bit of social commentary.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked those beats to it. That was good.
So they fight the Wookiee off. They dump him down in the Rancorless pit, and so now he's in the dungeon as their prisoner. And then the twins show back up, and basically say they're leaving. It's bad for business. They're not going to stick around for whoever is coming or whatever, and they no longer want claim to Jabba's stuff, his empire. And they bring Boba Fett and Fennec free Chrysanthemum, and then he runs off. The twin Hutts say, "We have a present for you," and it's a big damn Rancor with Danny Trejo. Trejo.
Yes.
He's the new Rancor keeper. For some reason,
with the most exciting Rancor to ever step onto a show.
It's got blinders on. Apparently, he says that it's a gift. They take the Rancor in, and then they do this explaining about
it's depressed.
He's depressed, and they have emotions.
Me too, buddy.
But and then he says, "Well, they imprint on the first human they see," and I'm thinking, this is a pretty big damn Rancor not to have ever seen anybody, because it's got a blindfold on. I didn't understand that. That's probably why he was depressed. He had a damn blindfold.
It might all be horse shit. It might be we only show him people that he's going to kill or something.
Well,
that would be better. Like,
I totally expected something like that. I was like, this is not on the up and up here. There's no way. Like, and when
you don't trust Machete.
No. And when Boba Fett was like, eye to eye with the damn thing, I kept waiting for him to take that blindfold off and the damn thing eat him. Like, it would have made more sense.
But it's just so, like, again, it's such a crutch to be like, have him be nice to the animals.
Yeah.
And you'll love this character.
He's going to ride.
It's like we're talking about Boba Fett here.
He's going to ride that Rancor.
He wants to ride it. He's got
of course. Yeah, he makes the reference that I've ridden bigger things than that. And we're all like, we saw that cartoon.
Really, that was, as far as what actually happened, that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
We saw that he came back to the tribe and it had been massacred.
Yeah.
We got the flashback to where all the Tuskens were killed by the Pikes, and he was stabbed in the back because the Nikto biker gang, we know they were the ones that slaughtered the Tuskens because they had painted that same symbol earlier in an episode when they were raiding one of the moisture farms. They had painted those same letters on that building as they did with the Tuskens. So he knows who it was. And I'm sure there's some reckoning to be had.
Oh, yeah.
I
But
think my main issue with it is that, Mandalorian's great, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so it like kind of established like, wow, look what you can do with the Star Wars universe, right? And then the very next show that comes out is just like treading so much of the same ground as Mandalorian, but not as well. So it's like you've got a guy in a Mandalorian helmet and the Beskar running around a desert with bounty hunt. It's like, dude, we could have had an Ewok show with this budget.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Amen.
Calm down.
Amen.
Don't get
Amen.
Cliff excited.
You are preaching to. Oh man, look
I mean,
over
you
there.
know, you could do a Kashyyykian show. I don't care. Like, there's so many corners of the Star Wars universe. You could come up with something completely
Instead,
new
we
and
just
colorful
grab
and different and crazy.
an old fat Mandalorian and have him do
Yeah.
Trade Federation level excitement.
Yeah.
And
So I mean,
what's-
it's not. I don't think it's terrible, but it's just that's what's frustrating to me is just like, why are we just kind of doing the same thing as Mandalorian, just not as interestingly, when
Yeah.
there's 100 other things you can do in the Star Wars universe.
Now,
So then what's the next show? It's Obi-Wan on Tatooine,
In the
dealing
desert,
with
yeah.
going to bars, dealing with Tuscans. Like, I'm sure it's going to tread up.
Going to
again,
be very
similar ground.
beige. It's going to be
Yeah.
very beige.
now there's nothing in that, before we get, speaking of Obi-Wan, there's nothing that says Obi-Wan was on Tatooine that entire time. Like, he could have went off planet. He may go off planet in that series. Let's hope.
I hope so. Yeah.
Let's hope. But I still feel like with
I would love to find out that he never watched out for Luke the whole time.
he was just
Always
All
gone.
deadbeat.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
As far as this series, like, I feel like it can redeem itself a lot just by, okay, he's building up, Boba Fett is building up his gang. He's got the Gamorreans, he's got Fennec, he's got the mods. He's probably going to get this Wookiee at some point. Kersantin's going to become some kind of ally to him. And whether they're fighting the Pikes or they could bring in Crimson Dawn and bring Kira from Solo back in. There's so many possibilities. I feel like they could still redeem what we've
But honestly,
seen.
even if they do all of that, that does not interest me at all. I want to see them tie this into other. I don't care about the politics of the mob in Mos Espa. I do not care. I was like, I want something else. I want him to be. I don't care that he's a older, wiser Boba Fett. That's fine, but have him do something else with characters I care about. Like, bring him in. While before this guy's 70, how about you have him play Rex and Cody and bring Ahsoka, and let's do some stories that tie it into Clone Wars and things like that. Let's tie it into the Mandalorian stuff, not into this crap. Get it more into something more fun.
I think, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think they are trying to incorporate it into previous storylines with the Pikes, and if they could bring in, even Shadows of the Empire or something like that, Prince Shizor comes to, a calling.
Well, now we're talking. That would be fine.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's still a
Get
possibility.
some Dash Rendar in there.
I could feel differently, or I do like it, but I could really like it if they, take a little turn here, or it gets
When they were
exciting.
putting the helmets on the skewers or whatever, I was like, amp it up. Stick some freaking Ewoks down over them suckers.
They were showing you that because that lady from the Mandalorian, her little pop-up droids were walking behind that. She made a little cameo there. So
Yeah. So,
anyways, anything else on the Book of Boba Fett so far?
It's still weekly Star Wars. That's cool.
Yeah.
But
I'll still watch it.
We want it to be more. Like, yes, that Mandalorian expanded our hopes, how high our hopes
It
could
set
get.
the bar. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
I did like in the first episode when he was getting dragged, I turned to the boys and said, they're riding in single file to hide their numbers. So I appreciated that they were in single file.
Yes. That's true.
Very cool. Okay, last thing I have for Disney Plus is this wonderful movie that came out back around Thanksgiving in the theaters, but apparently not that many people saw it until it hit Disney Plus. I've been dying to talk about Encanto.
Many years ago, this candle blessed our family with a miracle. Our house, our casita, came to life with magic.
Hola, casita.
Floors! Drawers! Let's go! In time, every member of our family,
Cecilia, up top!
was given their own magical gift.
I understand you. I'm not super strong like Luisa.
The donkey's got out again.
On it!
Or effortlessly perfect like Señorita Perfecta Isabella. But Mama, why am I the only one that didn't get a gift? You're just as special as anyone else in this family. You just healed my hand with an arepa con queso. Casita? What's going on?
The magic is in danger. We gotta get out of here!
We must protect our home. We must protect our family.
This is my chance. I will save the magic. Wait, how do I save the magic?
I'm losing my gift!
Mirabel, the fate of the family is gonna come down to you.
I can't do this.
I know Seth and Jordan haven't seen it, but Jared did watch it with his family. So
Yes.
this, for those of you who don't know, this is about a family. The Madrigals are they're a Colombian family in the mountains, and they have a magic house in a place called Encanto that every person in the family is blessed by magic with a unique gift, except for our central character Maribel, one of the grandkids, who did not receive a gift. She's the only one. And she discovers that the magic may be fading away with the house, and Encanto is now in danger because this family, they're the ones that help out the people of the village, of the town. So directors Brian Howard, Jared Bush, music by Jermaine Franco, and the story was actually written by Jared Bush, Brian Howard, Charisse Castro Smith, Jason Hand, Nancy Cruz, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and has, when I took my notes the other day, a couple days ago, the box office was currently at $216 million. It's the number one, the soundtrack is the number one album on the Billboard 200 charts for albums, and let's just say Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote some bangers, guys, for this movie. He's got a couple, one song called Surface Pressure, which is what I didn't know
Listen
anything.
up, Disney. You can put that on your DVD box.
Yes.
You can quote Cliff Barnes of KPP.
Bangers.
Bangers.
But actually my daughter and one of her cousins kind of brought this to my attention because I hadn't watched it yet, and they were talking about this song Surface Pressure, and how, you know, one of the girls had really, she's 15, she's the oldest daughter, but she really related to this song, and she was just listening to it apparently. And then I quickly discovered that there's a whole Disney community out there obsessed with this movie right now and these songs, and they're forcing their families to also watch it. So what it's really about, before we get, well, I'll just say what it's really about is generational family trauma. That is the theme of this movie. It's very un-Disney-like. There's no princesses. There's no fairy tales or anything like that. This is just something, this is new Disney right here. This is the direction they're heading in. Movies like these we've seen, and some with Pixar too. But Jared, what did you guys think about this movie?
Yeah, we liked it. I agree. The songs were great. Kind of what you were just talking about there. It's just it was a very different type of movie, and there's no villain in this movie. There's no bad guy in this movie.
Yeah.
And so it's like, the conflict. I read somewhere like, the conflict is, trauma and, living up to your family's expectations. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot of pretty heavy stuff for a little kids movie,
right?
But it's still fun. It's still a funny, kids movies with great songs. So yeah, I think it works on a couple different levels when you watch, watches, you can kind of appreciate it for some of the heavy themes and some of the heavy stuff they're talking about. But yeah, I mean, my kids thought it was cool and funny. So yeah, it worked on both levels for us. I thought it was good.
So basically, the grandma, the abuela, Alma, she is, if there is a villain, it's, spoilers, it's her in this movie. She is the one that, she has 3 triplets, and a husband, and they are forced from their village of Colombia, forcefully. He ends up dying, and she's left with these 3 babies and is blessed with this magical candle.
It wasn't a cocaine bear, was it?
No cocaine bears, not in this one.
Sure.
That would have been a great villain.
That's a good villain.
And so she uses the magic to basically, they build their casita, their house, and it's surrounded by the mountains and enclosed away from where people can hurt them, basically. So that's how it starts out. We meet the family very quickly, and like I said, the grandmother, she gets meaner as the film goes on, and we learn how, like, fear basically is causing her to be so controlling over her family, and to the point where she puts so much pressure, like Jared was saying, on each family member and their magical abilities, that it creates this toxic environment. And then poor Maribel she just constantly just sweeps to the side because she doesn't have anything to offer, she feels, because the grandmother basically, she puts worth on each family member by their gift, and how important, how she can use that to protect her family and the people in the village. So poor Maribel gets pushed to the side a lot. I got this from the Mary Sue webpage I was reading the other day, and there was a part in there. It says, Encanto showcases the duality of family, the beauty and love that comes from it, and unrelenting pressure and sadness that can come from it too. It's a call to talk and to see each other instead of just pretending like everything is okay, and it's not about forgiving our family, just hearing them and learning. Which, that's pretty much the theme. That's it. That's the entire theme of the movie. As far as the family, I made some notes on here real quick just to give you a rundown of the characters. We talked about the grandmother and basically their roles in this movie, because this is the movie. It's just what the roles they play for the biggest part of it. The grandmother, she's the abuser. She manipulates the rest of the family to do what she wants them to do with their gifts and protect them. Julieta is one of the triplets. She's the healer. Her gift is she heals everyone through her cooking. So if you eat something she has made, whatever's wrong with you will instantly heal. And then we have Peppa. Peppa is she's another one of the triplets. That she is basically the entire film, she's just emotionally gaslit. The grandmother constantly is, because her power is, when she gets upset, she affects the weather. Like, she'll have a rain cloud above her. When she gets married in the song, she creates a hurricane. So for the grandmother, she's constantly telling Peppa not to feel her feelings throughout the the entire movie, and she cannot her basically in she gaslights her. She makes her feelings invalid and tells her just to be calm all the time. Then we have Bruno, the third triplet. Bruno's the scapegoat.
Yeah. We don't talk about
we don't talk about Bruno, but he's the scapegoat. He's pretty fascinating to me. He is his power is he has visions of the future. So he uses that to tell people what he sees. Like, oh, hey, this is going to happen to you. But instead of them that being a positive thing and like, oh, looking out for it, they use it as a negative thing and they blame Bruno. Oh, you said this was going to happen and it happened and it's terrible. So you're the scapegoat of the family. Bruno disappears at one point after his last vision. They don't know what happened to Bruno. But the fascinating thing, somebody pointed this out, the way he is dressed, all the characters are dressed, their clothing reflect their powers. Like Peppa has like sunburst on her dress, and Maribel's mom has like little cooking dishes and things on hers. Bruno just has basically, he wears like I don't know, what do you call it? Like a serape or something. But the color of it is literally Disney's go away green that they use in Disney parks. It's a color specifically designed that we don't see it. So when they want to hide like a show building in a theme park, they paint it go away green so it doesn't catch your eye. And his whole outfit is literally covered by this go away green. And once somebody pointed that out to me, I was like, oh my God, I will never not see that. But everything's his fault because of his visions, and they blame Bruno for everything. And then he disappears. Then there's Dolores, who is the first grandchild. Dolores's power is she has like super hearing. She hears, she listens to everybody. She talks very quietly because she's always listening. And Dolores, she plays the therapist role in this because she hears everybody and listens to their lives unknowingly sometimes, but yet she also listens to how they feel and stuff. So she's the therapist as far as she goes. Then there's Camilo. Camilo is her son. He's basically the mascot. He is a shapeshifter type guy. He pretends to be other people, which basically adds up to he is whatever the family needs him to be. So if they need him to be, hey, we need another tall guy, he pretends to be the tall guy to hang up the tall banner, or the decorations or whatever. Or if there's a scene where there's a young mother who has a child and she's obviously extremely tired, and he takes her form, grabs the baby to take care of the baby so the mother can rest. That's just how he helps the people of the village. Then there's Antonio. Antonio's kind of the peacekeeper. He's the little kid who's about to get his gift, and gets his gift in the movie. He talks to animals. Then you have the other children. Isabella, she's the golden child. She is Maribel's oldest sister. Her power is she can make things grow and provides flowers and stuff. But she is seen as perfect, especially by the grandmother. She's that golden child role. Then there's the middle sister, Luisa. Luisa is very interesting. She has a large build, not something we normally see with Disney characters. I actually saw a lot of females really identify with her online, and they were making some comments about never seeing their body type in one of these movies before. And then we get Luisa, who is super strong. She carries the load of the family. She is very capable in everything, high functioning, but all the time she's also being crushed by responsibility. She is everybody's go-to. Super strong, can do anything, but yet, she makes in the song surface pressure, she makes the point of talking about, if she's not serving, she doesn't hold any worth. So after her, we get Maribel. Maribel, again, is another scapegoat. She has green glasses, much the same as Bruno's color scheme. And then, of course, everything's always her fault also, just because she doesn't have a gift. And her grandmother, they see her as incapable to the point where they leave her out of the family picture. So also, Maribel's dad, the kind of comedy characters of this movie, Maribel's dad, Augustin, he's kind of clumsy guy that has to he gets stung by bees and has to be constantly healed by his wife. And then Peppa's husband, who was my favorite, Felix. Felix is great. He's very attentive to his wife. And if you really watch closely in the movie, you notice what a good dad he is. He's taught his sons how to also be attentive to everyone around them. It's really sweet. He's very funny. He looks kind of funny. And then like when his son impersonates him in that one song, crack me up. But that's the movie. It's great. It's a wonderful theme. I think everybody should watch it. It's got a lot of buzz online. People making their parents and grandparents watch this movie was really interesting to me, and seeing what kind of reaction they get. And because especially grandparents don't always see the connection, is what's happening right now. So it's really brought a conversation up about, just toxicity in families. I just thought it was really interesting. I've watched it a bunch of times. My daughter has been watching it a whole bunch. And like we have conversations, like our TikToks are just full of Encanto references right now. So, but the other main thing I wanted to talk about this movie was, we've mentioned the last couple episodes talking about, I really like Lin-Manuel Miranda. I've liked everything he's done, and he's been doing so much Disney stuff now. And somebody online, I think it was a TikTok, I think it was Sean Roswell that brought it to my attention, but talking about diversity, when In the Heights came out, we had this conversation on this podcast with In the Heights. And Miranda there was a lot of criticism about his movie he did. Yes, they were all mostly Latin characters, but there wasn't a lot of diversity with people of color in the Latin community. We talked about, everybody was kind of the same skin color, when in reality, it's not really that way. There are a lot of darker tones in that community. And, we're talking about a lot of islands, a big area of the world. So he took a lot of criticism with that. And we had made mention that, he took it kind of in stride and said, you know what, you're right. I can do better. I will do better, and really took responsibility in it. And then this Encanto movie comes out, and there's a lot of different tones going on in just this family really being represented in this character. So I really felt like, holy crap, he actually did it. He did what he said he was going to do, and did it well. Like, it wasn't blatantly in your face. Look at what we did. He just did it better, which I thought was really amazing. Jared shaking his head. Do you agree? I mean,
yeah. And I've seen a lot about this, and I know there was a picture going around I saw the other day of a little boy who looked just like Antonio or whatever. Yeah. Watching it, and it said representation matters. So that's we're at that. This is what we talk about a lot. You guys talk about it a lot on the podcast, how important that kind of stuff is. And I feel like we're getting better with it, from the stuff that I'm seeing. So it's always encouraging when you see some of that stuff.
Yeah. So I felt like he needed some, and of course he's not by us, but he's gotten some applause for it, for actually kind of backing up what he said he was going to do. The other thing kind of related to this that concerned me a little bit after somebody brought it to my attention, that Disney is using him for everything. Like anything to do with diversity, he is now the go-to guy, and he's the only one we're seeing doing this stuff. And that brought to the point of like, is now he the poster boy for diversity within these companies? Are they overusing him, and instead of bringing other people in, which would make would be a better step, bringing other people, more people of color that are creators in to take up these roles, instead of just, it's always Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's always, I love his music. I love his songwriting style. By the way, if you can't tell me he did not write the part of Bruno for himself. If you listen to that, like that rap part, and we don't talk about Bruno. I mean, it is written for himself, and they didn't let him play the part. But, yeah, I think there's some real concern there. Just on the other half, being a Disney fan, I also had the thought of, am I wrong here? And is this just the modern day Disney, as a company, is he the modern day Sherman Brothers? Because back in the 50s and 60s, the Sherman Brothers were the go-to songwriting duo, two Jewish guys, two Jewish brothers in the studio that wrote all the famous Disney songs for dozens of movies for decades. So is he just playing that role? And I don't know, but
that would be my guess of like, we've got a formula that works. We got a popular guy. Let's just let the goose keep laying the golden egg. The fact that it brings diversity is a bonus, but the fact that he's delivering hit after hit, banger after banger, is what they really care about. And then it's like, hey, then there's also this extra bonus thing. So,
but what also scares me about that is because I like the guy, and I don't want it to become a thing where they shove him down our throats so much that everybody then...
Well, he's already had the backlash and Hamilton was so popular, and then Gen Z's sick of he's so cringe or whatever. We had that whole controversy. So like, there's always going to be the too much Lin-Manuel,
too much of a good thing, and then we hate it.
Yeah.
So that's really, I tried to rush through that a little bit. That was a whole lot of me talking and a whole lot of information and explaining characters that maybe you care about or maybe you don't. But I've been sitting on it for a week and had to get it out. So it's a great movie. I think it's, I had the thought of is this going to be the movie of like, the 2020s, the huge Disney hit that everybody in 20 years is still talking about? Like, this started something because it was so different, much the way they did with Cinderella or Jungle Book or any of those films, and or even, if you want to go Renaissance, if you want to go Little Mermaid onto Aladdin to, Beauty and the Beast. Is this the start of something new? Which, if it is, it's going to be great, and I'm all in for it because I love the direction they're going. That's all I got.
I can't get enough Lin-Manuel Encanto. I'm good.
Sure.
All right, that's Disney Plus. That's what's been going on the Plus. Good stuff. We'll be back with more Boba talk later as that show continues. Jared, thanks for joining us once more. Coach Mayor
Thanks again for having me.
And we'll catch you soon. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
Bye forever.
Speaking of anxiety, I was getting a little anxiety. I haven't had a podcast to edit or anything to do for a couple weeks, and I'm just like,
oh my gosh.
Oh, we're so behind.
Jesse was in this week, and he asked, like, anything new you guys doing? And then Nathan, same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, you haven't put a new one out in a while. Like, sorry, Nathan, man. You got 8 years of these to go back and listen.
Yeah, go back and but if we would have had one out, he wouldn't have went back and found out we used to have T-shirts, and now he's all chomping for a T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm pretty upset about that. I don't.
So let's break in and steal Jesse's shirt and sell it to Nathan.
Only 2 of those shirts exist, I believe.
Yeah.
Jesse and Brandon are the only 2 of those are in existence.
That's hilarious.
I never knew we needed a third till today, or till the other day.
Could have anticipated a third fan. Got it.
Yeah. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.